Women's rights are under threat constantly, and that's just the everyday life that we face in Poland. And the fact that this is all happening in a country of 38 million people, a member of the European Union, and nobody's paying enough attention to that. I never lived in a country that has accessible abortion, but I do know that it will change because it is already changing. Actually, young people in Poland are now deciding not to have children, despite the fact that they may want to start a family, because they're terrified. And that level of fear, that level of being absolutely stripped down of any agency over your body and your life, and the fact that being pregnant in Poland right now means the possibility of dying, that's unimaginable. Our idea was always to help people access their basic rights and exercise the rights that they already have in the society, but also fight for liberalization and better accessibility of medical services for everyone and anyone in need. But after the ruling, when we heard that abortion in case of fetal malformations was banned in the country, it was found unconstitutional, we had to figure out a way around it, kind of, because we will not leave the people out there alone in that situation. So what we do is we gathered together a network of supportive psychiatrists, and when someone contacts us saying, I want to terminate a pregnancy, we need to figure out what is their situation, whether that pregnancy is a result of a criminal action, such as rape or incest, whether it's just an unwanted pregnancy, or if the pregnancy is malformed and they need an intervention at the hospital. And accordingly to the person's answer, we just point them into the right direction. And if they want to terminate a pregnancy in Poland and it is malformed or something else is actually a threat to the person's life or health, is actually still legal and the person is therefore viable for having an abortion in a Polish hospital. And that is working. In the first year after the ruling, 7 of us, 375 days, 15,000 requests for help. And that's the reality that we live in. And the actual statistics are terrifying because, as I previously mentioned, Poland is a country of 38 million people. But then again, even before the ruling, the number of legal abortions performed in the hospital was actually around 1,120-ish, something like that. That's basically non-existent. And for the last year, for 2021, after the ban was imposed, it was slightly over 100. Period. While international data statistics, our own estimates, place the number of abortions at around 100,000 yearly in the country, but it's all happening outside of the system. There are death threats, there are rape threats. There are some people reaching out to us, trying to hurt us on the streets. I was threatened with a knife for the work that I do, for trying to save people's lives in Poland. The fact that it's just very overwhelming psychologically and emotionally. It is a very difficult situation for us to be in, to take on yourself that much trauma and that much challenges that people are facing in their lives at the most vulnerable moment. I actually think that everything that happened, it led us to a moment that's a breaking point. And right now I come here as an abortion rights activist, coming from a country that's struggling on so many fronts, as I mentioned before. But something has changed, something has clicked actually. We are now having the highest support for the full liberalization of abortion law because of what was done in the Constitutional Tribunal. People are actually protesting in the streets and fighting for the queer community, for abortion rights, for betterment of protection of ecological system. So something has clicked and it has changed, but I would say that the legal system hasn't yet caught up with what is already happening within the society. I see human rights defenders as those guardians of values and as those who remind us day after day to always stay vigilant. And we always have to keep in mind all the armed conflicts or the deaths, all the tragedies and the suffering and the torture, because that is our history and we cannot allow it to be our future as well. And only by remembering the past, we can reshape the future.